crafty friends, it's Sharon Lusky here from My Crafty Greetings, and I'm doing a Scrappy Tails video today. And this is being posted late, sadly, but we have had a crazy month. We had 3 deaths in our family, very sadly, and I had to change up these cards. I wanted to show you these wonderful layering sunflowers from Scrappy Tails. It comes with 3 different sunflowers, the layering pieces, and the leaves. This is my husband's birthday card. He's lucky he even got this. I've been so busy. But I wanted you to see what the layering sunflowers can do on their own, but I wanted to also show you that if we add the Whimsical layering daisies to it, you can actually get more flowers. And if you like dahlias or chrysanthemums, if you have this die set, or you want to get this die set, and it has the side pieces here as well, it's a great set. We're only going to be using the front on flowers though, all of them, doesn't matter which style. And I'm just basically taking and giving each of the leaves a little bit of a crease with my thumbnail. Now if you prefer to use a tool to do that, you can use a tool. I typically reserve the tools for the smaller ones. The bigger ones I just do with my thumbnail, and I typically do it in front of the TV. And this is just Nina Solar White 80-pound, not expensive paper, just white. But you can see here, if you're going to use the tool, you can go ahead and use the tool. This is from the dollar store, the tool. It's a cake decorating tool. It's in the party aisle. And yeah, it does a good job. And if you want to pinch a little more detail in, you can pinch a little bit more detail in. But yeah, so these poor cards, they started out, I thought I'd do some birthday cards and, kind of show you how you could do that. And I got all my stuff ready and had to switch midstream and make them sympathy cards. And I know you guys aren't opposed to me doing sympathy cards. It's a little bit kind of my channel. They're all 5x7 though, because these are nice big flowers. Like you could see how 3 sunflowers took up the front of that card, no problem, for a 5x7. Just gorgeous. And it really doesn't matter how you layer these together. So best thing I can recommend is give them a spin. If you don't like how they look the first time, give them a spin. And then what I do is I pinch them together, put a dot of glue in, and then just set her down and let her dry. And then I'm also going to add in so we're going to add in the Whimsical layering daisies pieces. So now I'm picking some of the larger daisies and then going to a little bit smaller and then adding the smallest. And I don't know about you, does that not look like a dahlia? Or a chrysanthemum, whichever you like. It looks like one of them pointy pokey flowers. You could put a yellow center in this and also make it one of those chrysanthemum daisies, depending on the time of year or what kind of card you're trying to make. But you can see, depending on how you twist these flowers, you're going to get so many different looks from the flowers. And I really like that from dies. I like when you can get many different looks from a few pieces because they're not symmetrical. And that way then you can have multiple flowers on your card with multiple combinations and nobody would know whether they're repeats of the same pieces. But there is 3 of what I'm working with, and now we have them in white, how to color them. Get your ink blenders out and use some of your distress ink or whatever your favorite ink is. A couple little brushes, because these are the type of flowers that have no problem having a little bit of white peeking through. And I wanted to make these ones just a soft pink. Now, if you take your blending brush and you go directly to the flower, you're going to get a more intense look. And if you dab it off on a paper or your surface first and then brush it, you're going to get a softer look. So you can pick whatever you like using your inking techniques. Whatever you decide is going to make the difference. And you can see how much lighter this one is, where I'm just slowly building the color, whereas before I was taking less off the brush before I went ahead and stroked the flower. Now you can see here, there's that solid back piece, or you can use the straight kind of jaggedy layering piece for these flowers. Both give a different look, a different size flower. Just experiment with them. Cut a whole bunch of pieces up and experiment. And the nice thing about this is that with the number of dies that come in the 2 sets, I'm not sure how many are in the Whimsical layering daisies as far as flower heads, but you have 3 bases and 3 toppers for the layering sunflowers. which is just going to leave you so many. Plus you've got two gorgeous leaves. I love these leaves. They could do a standalone on just about anything. This is a two-sided sticky mat that I made. I did figure out the two-sided thing, and if I actually get some time, I will try and pull that together. Time has not been available to me. It's been a luxury that I've been missing lately. So I wanted to show you my struggles with ink blending. If anybody can give me any tips on how to ink smoosh, sorry, not ink blending. If I thought this was ink blending, you'd have every reason to say, Sharon, you got it all wrong. So ink smooshing. I am not an ink smooshing person. I don't know why my stuff looks like this. So anybody got any tips? I am happy to take them. Maybe you guys can turn me into an actual ink smoosher. That's why you really don't see me do it. Now, here is technique number 2 for coloring your flowers. And I have a very, very messy set because, of course, I don't like to get rid of any of the colors that I've already made that I like. But this is the Jane Davenport Brights watercolor set. It is an excellent set to own. You can do so much with it. And I'm just watering this ink down, and I'm just going to very lightly brush these flowers. And that's all you need. Just lightly brush them. Add the color on, they will dry. They're gonna look gorgeous when they're dry. Biggest thing I can recommend, sweep from the center out. Turn them and sweep from the center out. Don't be lazy and try and sweep across. It's gonna give you marks that you don't like. But if you sweep from the center out, you will get something very natural looking, very much like Mother Nature's artist brush has touched them. And if you want to, you can do kind of a dab, dab, dab in the middle, turning them, and that will take the flat marks of your brush and just make a little crisscross in the center that's a little bit darker. Now, if you're going to make some green leaves from the Bright set, I'm using the darkest green, mixing it with the yellow, and then what you're going to see is I actually add in some purple. I wanted you to see that I was adding in purple. And what purple does is it actually knocks the bright out of the green. And my other recommendation, if you're going to be good in this craft field, is play. Try things. It's just paper, it's just paints. If you mess something up, nobody's gonna come to your house and arrest you. You're gonna be fine. I've learned all of the things that I've learned how to do by playing and by watching others, which is hopefully why you're here, is that you're watching and learning too. And hey, I watch tons of YouTube videos. It's usually what I do when my back's giving me a terrible day, and it gives me a chance to watch how others do things, and usually it triggers my creative juices and puts me in a happy state of mind. So lots of layers too if you're going to be doing the leaves. Don't be afraid to add layer over layer if you want to, and that is going to increase the luscious look of these. So I'm also adding a little bit of detail to the veining here, and if you're using a flat brush, I think that, I'm not sure if this is a filbert or maybe it's just a flat. So it's just a cheap brush. It actually was painting walls last week because I'm a fusspot when it comes to having straight cut jobs around the trim. And I also faux finished one of our cabinets at home here. Okay, so salad box. You may have these boxes at home. Save yourself one. Save yourself a few of the lids because I'll show you a trick with those later on. So just a bottle in water, and then these are powdered pigments. All the rage, right? Doesn't really matter what brand you have. A little scoop of whatever color you want. This one's got mica in it, so we're going to be playing the dangerous game of whether it's going to flow through the pump or not. And I probably should have put a bead in there also to shake it. That's a good tip. Tim Holtz puts a little metal ball in there. You can just use a glass bead, not a small one, kind of a mid-size one. Put it in the bottom of your bottle and that'll help mix this. I did not put a bead in there, and I did keep forgetting to shake it, but alas, here we are. And if you want to stop the glitter from constantly flowing to the bottom, you can put some glycerin in here too. Spray these babies. And here's another good tip. If your siphon for your spray is at one side of the bottle, turn your nozzle so that your siphon is facing into the bulk of your liquid. It'll make your life so much easier. So just give them a spray. I actually let them settle and then gave them 2 sprays. Now, because this is a plastic container instead of being a cardboard box, you can grab back all of this pigment. This is why I see people using cardboard boxes and I want to scream and go, no, why are you wasting all of that? And yes, I'm not an ink schmoosher, but when I do my crazy, you know, save the pigment stuff, once this dries, it turns out gorgeous. I didn't use it in this card making series, but it turns out pretty good. So I have a background piece here. I've already added Tombow Mono Multi in tiny little dots and let it dry. I've shown this in previous videos. Just go along and dot all kinds of the little places that you're worried about being loose and let it dry off to the side. Once it's dried, then stick it down to your project. It'll work like you have turned it into a sticker first, and you won't have any stuff squooshing out. You won't have any issue with it grabbing. It'll be perfect. And if you have to pick it up quickly, you can pick it up quickly, no problem. I added this all to a 5x7 Nina Solar White base and have a reveal there because this this detail plate is actually for a note card size. So that's how we're using it on a 5x7 card. And then I have my favorite with Sympathy die, which is no longer in production. And I wanted to stick that down there, but I was concerned that I would have to do too much gluing down of the flowers. So I got myself out a piece of vellum. Now this again is also already pre-stuck with little dots of the Tombow Mono Multi. Foam glue will also do the same thing. Glue that they make for gluing foam pieces together, or craft foam. It is foam, or it is a glue that creates a tacky residue when dry, and it just needs a little bit of pressure for it to adhere to whatever surface you're trying to stick it to. Makes it into a sticker, little dots all over the place, and that way you've got zero squish out, zero mess. It is one of the best ways to deal with little tiny thin die cuts. So you can see I just kind of wedge this underneath, and then I'm going to fold these pieces back. I will stick it all down, and shocker of shockers, I actually ran some ATG right across the W, or the width. So right from W to H, and then from the Y to the Y on Sympathy, and that held this all in place nice and secure. So there's my first Sympathy card. Now this card was actually inspired by a birthday card that I did for my girlfriend, and it's where it started all, and it was also for a craft roulette. These are stuck to the orchid die set stems, the leaves and stems, and the happy birthday is from Picket Fence Studios. So this is a thinking of you that came from Concord and 9th. You have to remember here. Now I die cut this from gold, but what I did to the gold first is colored it with a brown magic marker, a brown Spectrum Noir ink marker, and alcohol ink marker. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, Concord and 9th. There you go. That's what it looks like. You can get it at scrapbook.com. It is a great thinking of you because it's nice and big for a 5x7 card. Would have looked pretty just like that, right? So I added it to a layer of just white paper to thicken it up, and I'm doing that trick like I told you with the Tombow Mono Multi. I'm going to set this off to the side to dry. I already did the dots on my frame here. It's a paper rose frame, also available at scrapbook.com, because I know you guys look at the stuff and say, where's that from? So, and I can lay this out and then give it some pressure to stick it down. I was slightly impatient gluing this down, but alas, it's down now. We're good. So I had 2 flowers done in yellow. You're going to find in a minute that these become much darker. And the reason being is that I wanted to add a 3rd flower, and when I mixed the yellow, I couldn't quite get the same yellow, so I just coated them all again, and that way they matched. So the thinking of you, now that that's dry, no squish out, it's just like a sticker. I can push it down and boom, it's stuck on. That thing's not going anywhere. Perfect. So now we can add our flowers on. And what I do is these flowers, because they're nice and big, I arrange them first and then kind of lean them forward and put a dot of art glitter glue or Barely Arts glue back behind it. Hold it down for a few seconds and it will grab. The same thing too with the leaves. I kind of put them in place, lean them forward, and give them a gob of glue back behind. But you could also put the Tombow Mono Multi on them and stick them on the same way. So there's card number 2. So I need 4 of these. You're going to get to see 3 of them today. The 4th one I'm probably going to post on my Instagram account, and I'll see if I can remember to list it in the drop-down box. And all of the links to the products that I'm using here today, especially the Scrappy Tails products, will be available in my drop-down box as well if you want to take a look at them. If you do decide to purchase, I love that you use my links. It helps me out so much so that I can continue my journey here on YouTube, providing videos for you. This is a little trick for lining up text when you've already partway stamped, because I know that's always hard. If you want to see how that's done in slow motion, let me know and I'll do what I can. And I'm sorry about the poor quality of the video here. I pushed the wrong thing on my camera and it's just gone crazy. And I was ink blending while that ink was wet, and it gave it a nice soft look. So I have this lacy frame. It's a Spellbinders frame. I did look around. It's no longer available, but I know there are similar frames out there from different companies if you take a look. And then I just took an embossing folder. This is a Cuttlebug embossing folder, and embossed just Nina Solar White, hid that behind that frame so that it looks like it's all one piece, and we're layering that over top of the pre-stamped background paper, setting the scene for our flowers, deciding how we want to show them off and let people see these, trying to decide between 3 or 4. And yes, I get the rule about 3s. You can do what you want. Do what you think looks pretty. Try 3 if you're frustrated. Try 4 if you like it better, go for it. Don't worry about what anybody says. You can do you. 3 typically works for me, but I have been known to use 4 when I don't like how 3 looks. This is a must-have in your die set too for With Sympathy. I love word dies, and this With Sympathy from Picket Fence is fabulous, and it does have the bubble that goes around it, so if you need to support it. Now you can see how frustrated I was here trying to figure out where I should put my leaves. I put them in so many different spots. If you think that it just comes to me easily, it does not. I have the same struggles that you do. You just get to see the end product. But thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed, I sure would like it if you would. If you'd leave me a comment, and I'm reading those comments and they're making me feel so happy. Give me a thumbs up. That helps that my videos get shared and helps YouTube know that I'm doing an okay job. And yeah. Don't forget to subscribe. You can come back and see some more of my shenanigans. So here are some of the final looks at the cards that I made. There's a little hand tilt of the sunflowers. And here's some more videos. Have an awesome day. Thanks. Bye.